So everyone asked me, how did I get into FiveDoors? And I would say that initially I wasn't looking for an opportunity. I was at a mastermind in Maryland, DC, really out there because there was so many incredible leaders that had owned teams. And I really wanted to build our ISA division. And there was two people that had knocked it out of the park, or that had amazing ISA teams that I could learn from. And that was Lance Loken and Tim Heil. So I went to Maryland, DC to be a part of this mastermind. And in that mastermind, there was a smaller group of people after the event. And we ended up being in this room, and Seth was leading this discussion about leadership. And I must have said something because on my way leaving that event, going to the airport, somebody had stopped me and said, Seth wants you, or give your business card to Seth because he wants to talk to you. Had no idea what that meant. So of course, what do? I basically go to find Seth in the back of the hotel and give him my card. And a few days later, I get a call, I think from Charlotte, stating that, let's schedule some time for you and Seth to get to know each other. My meeting with Seth basically allowed us to get to know each other. He obviously runs a really big world. He's an OP, so really didn't have any idea or any expectations of the meeting. What I've discovered is through that meeting, he was a connector for me. And I didn't know what my next path was going to be. And being a previous team leader, he had mentioned this concept of FiveDoors. Like that's how it came about. I think he kind of knew that I was never going to go to, not say never, but not go to Maryland, DC and move my family to be a team leader for him or take a leadership role for Maryland, DC. But I thought that's how the concept of FiveDoors and expansion came about. And I had gone to ESO, so we had definitely thought about expanding. We just weren't sure that we were quite ready. So what I loved what Seth shared in that meeting was, what would it look like if you could team up with other people that had the same vision of expansion, be on a mission, and go fast and go together? And like he drew out this hub and spokes model of the hub. What if your operating cost was divided by the number of locations that we opened? And so immediately I thought, because we knew what it took to run our business at that time, that if we cut that even in half, or we cut that by like 10 locations, we could actually become extremely profitable. So absolutely there was hesitation in making that decision. There was definitely a lot of thought of, we've built this business, should we really go and join an expansion team? There were other expansion teams approaching us as well. I think they knew that I usually have this 2-3 year mark that I get bored. And so having been a team leader, restarting our team and going, Raquel may want to get into expansion, let's start approaching her to see if she'll be our expansion director. So definitely there was options of which direction do we go. And I think that what really mattered to me, and what I've always said, is who you're in business with matters. And so not only did I look at the concept of FiveDoors, but I also looked at the leaders that Seth had built around him. Like who had stayed with him the longest, what was their track record from before they met Seth to where they're at today. And I could see the trajectory of all the people, like he says, the assistant coaches around him, and how amazing they were. FiveDoors has impacted me in numerous ways. I mean, so many. And I would have to say that for one, it's taught me to become a better leader. And really be purposeful about impacting other people around me and creating a path of opportunity where they actually have no ceiling, and that I could actually impact not only them as an individual, but them as a mother, them as a wife, or them as a leader within the organization. That's number one. The other thing is it's also impacted my family and my kids, the way we value money. They talk about the value of money at FiveDoors. They talk about investing. They talk about what's the legacy that you're going to leave behind, and what is it that you do on a daily basis that is going to create that legacy that you want to leave behind. I actually never had thought of life that way. It was always what's my 1 year goal? What's my 3 year goal? What's my 5-year goal. It's never like, what is it that I actually want to leave my kids' kids? So generational wealth was an absolutely new concept. Never had heard about it prior to FiveDoors. And what I've realized, actually in my family, like I'll take it back to growing up, is that like my parents were never rich. They were never, they both came from, poverty. And they were immigrants coming to America. So the only thing that I saw them do was work extremely hard to make it, and to provide food and a shelter. We had never talked about money. And so from a very young age, it was in order for me to help my parents, relieve some of that stress, I was going to go get a job. Like I was going to help them. Like it was just in our duty as kids to go help our parents, to make our own income, right? And work extremely hard. So I've always had like that work ethic of working hard, whether it was 1 job, 2 jobs, 3 jobs, to go and help our family. And it was only till, I met Seth and like FiveDoors that talked about like, what is it that we do with our money that could actually impact other people? And it wasn't really about like bright, shiny objects. Like, let's make a lot of money so we can buy big houses. Let's make lots of money so that we can drive nice cars. It was like, let's make lots of money so we can help people. Since FiveDoors, I think it's not only impacted my life, but it's actually impacted my kids in a really big way. Number one is they're on an envelope system, and that is truly because of Seth Talks, the Dave Ramsey, that we talked about the envelope system in a conference call. I made them listen to it. Occasionally, my son Bryce will be on Seth Talks, so you're seeing a 12-year-old look at this call that's talking about assets and balance sheets. So then not only are they on an envelope system, we've been able to open up an account for them. Every time they have chores, they actually divide it by 3 on where they're going to put. One's for saving, one's for giving, and one's for spending. And so they've realized that they've had to make smart choices when it comes to the store of like, I want this, because their generation is like everything's easy and they're entitled to things. Like they've got a new phone, I'm just going to go have mom and dad buy it. But really, when they're starting to save and they're starting to give and they're starting to spend, they really make better decisions when they have that concept in their brain. Okay, so if you're in a place where you're thinking about what to do next with your real estate career, or you're even thinking about like, should I leave the job that I'm unhappy at, I would honestly suggest that you reach out to other people, and get in an environment that's going to push you, that's going to challenge you, that's going to have you grow not only professionally, but also personally. I think FiveDoors has done that for me, and I would actually encourage you to go ahead and at least speak to them about an opportunity.